Amanda, did you get your hotspot to work? I take it.
I did. Hopefully it'll sustain so we can do this.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I actually, I did not, I should have responded to your message last night, but I didn't see it. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
But we have 7 registered. Um, hey, Laura, how are you?
I'm doing fine today, thank you.
Good. Amanda, how do you feel if I record this and then if it goes well, would you be, then you could let me know, like if we could share it or anything like that, or what do you think?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Well, I'll wait to hit record once, we'll maybe give it
I
one
said
more
it was
minute or so.
recording when I logged on.
What's that?
It said it was recording when I logged on.
Oh, you know what? It maybe already is. Oh, that's right. I forgot I did set it to automatically record, so we're good. So once since it is 8 o'clock, if you want to go ahead and get started, you can. You might just let people know that you have a not stable internet connection, and if for some reason you lose it, we'll have to reschedule. Um, so,
Okay.
but so it's up to you as to when you want to get started. I want to be cognizant of your time.
Oh, no, it's okay. We can wait a few minutes to see if a few more people join, or I can go ahead and start. It's up to you.
Well, looking, the people who have registered are people who have been, they've been participating in all of the classes so far. So I would expect them to probably be getting on shortly. And last time they got on right about this time. So
Okay. I'll wait a few minutes, probably till about like what, 8:05, 8:10.
I think 8:05.
Okay.
About how long is your training usually?
This one, it's not even, I wouldn't even say an hour.
Good, that's perfect. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for hosting it. I wonder if I can share this quote. Let me see. I'm gonna try it. Hopefully it don't share. There we go.
Yes, and that way, that's good. That way we know you can share. And then the other thing I want to do is I'm going to change you to, let's see, how does that work? Do me a favor and see if you can mute me. I want to see if you've got full privileges.
Um, Let me see. Let me stop sharing. Let's see.
So you should be able to both at the same time.
No, I can't mute you.
It's weird. Okay. I see you now. Supposed to be able to. Last night, Rachel Hale did one, and I was able to make her like the official host or presenter. So if she needed to mute or unmute somebody, she could do that. And it's when I click to do that, it's not letting me do that this morning. It says I can move you to the stage. Would you like to be on the stage? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either. And I do these, but I don't know what that is. I was so frustrated. I was like, what a day for everything to be out. I woke up early for nothing on a Saturday.
And I know this is early for you, so thank you.
Come on, I know I'm grouchy. I was grouchy earlier. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, nothing's working out. I'm getting texts. So. Okay, so Rachel said she needs the link, so I'm gonna send it to her. She registered but didn't get the link.
Oh, that's weird. Let me see here. Maybe I should send the link to everybody. Okay, so I just made you the co-host. That's what will help you be able to
Okay.
mute if you need to.
I'll try to see if I can mute you. Yeah, now it gives me the option to mute you.
Okay, good. And then so you should be able to do that and share all at the same time.
Okay. So let me see if I can. Let me see. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get started and then
Yeah, and since Rachel said she didn't see her registration, it probably went through, but just in case someone else had trouble, I'm just gonna send
I'm
emails to
on now. Amanda
Okay.
did resend it to me, and I'm on.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and send it to the other people that were registered just in case they're having the same trouble, but you can go ahead and get started.
okay. Um, Trying to see if I can. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining me early on a Saturday morning for Public Information Act training. I created this presentation based on the Public Information Handbook. It's 343 pages, and there's no way to cover all of it in a training without it being super long. I mean, it'd probably take days to go in depth for everything. But I'm going to cover some of the most important things that I find helpful, especially dealing with school districts. So what's the point of the Public Information Act? It's to access public records held by government entities, including school districts. Examples would be a mom wanting to access emails from her child's teacher to admin staff. A mom wants to know how many times the police were called to her child's school. And why do we want to do this? We want to hold the school district and staff accountable. Ken Paxton quoted a portion of James Bryce's The American Commonwealth, published in 1888, in a letter to Texans in the Texas Public Information Act Handbook on page 3. In 1888, James Bryce wrote that sunlight kills the germs of corruption that can infect a government, and his words remain true today. The quote actually goes on to say that once the truth is uncovered, it's half destroyed. The lies and evil are half destroyed. I mean, so just exposing the truth of things that are being hidden and covered up helps to kill the corruption. There's a lot of acronyms with public information. There's the Texas Public Information Act, PIA. There's the Freedom of Information Act, which is the federal FOIA. There's a PIR, Public Information Request. There's Open Records Request, which is referred to as ORR. All of these equate to the same information. It's a public information provided to anybody that requests it that is held by a government entity. So all of them are kind of interchangeable in a way, but FOIA does mean federal. PIA is Texas Public Information Act, and a PIR is a Public Information Request. or open records request. The Texas Government Code 552, Chapter 552, states that the government is the servant and not the master of the people. There's a lot of information in Chapter 552 that goes over in depth and detail the Public Information Act, and it's worth having at least bookmarked in your browser. 552.002 of the Government Code defines public information, and it is information that is written, produced, collected, assembled, or maintained under law or ordinance or in connection with the transaction of official business by a government body for a government body, and the government body owns the information, has a right of access to the information, spends or contributes public money for the purpose of writing, producing, collecting, assembling, or maintaining the information by an individual officer or employee of the governmental body in their official capacity. Basically, anything that's written or public money is used to produce is accessible. Public information is contained in records of all forms. This section is constantly being updated because of technology and the changing ways we store information. I mean, it's paper, film, optical, solid state, other devices that can store an electronic signal, tape, mylar, any physical material that can be recorded, like a video, even including linen, silk, vellum, and all general forms in which media containing public information exists, including book, paper, letter, document, email, internet posting, text messages, instant messages, and other electronic communications. And it goes on. I had no idea when I first started submitting Public Information Act requests that I could get text messages and instant messages from, I know, when I first started this was the city of Austin. We were getting the mayor's text messages. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Successful request must be in writing. Typed is considered writing for information already in existence. Government entities are not required to answer questions, perform legal research, or create new information. If a request involves two government agencies, you can request information from both. So the example that I give with this is one that I personally used is something that happened at the school that involved the police. So you could submit a request to the school district as well as the police department that responded to it. You can request a copy of another person's request and a copy of the response to their request that they received. And people can do that to your request as well. Methods to request information include snail mail, email, hand delivery, and any other method approved by the government body. I know the city of Temple, which I live in, they have their own portal that you can submit your public information request through on their website. So it's good to check their website to see how they prefer the request to be submitted. If you have questions about Public Information Act or Public Information Request, you can call the Texas Open Government Hotline at 512-478-6736, and there's also a toll-free number, 877-673-6839. How to ask for information. You want to be broad, but you also want to be limited in your request. Example would be all emails and text with the word Kraus or Kraus list between 2001 to 2021 to 2022. You want to be as specific as possible, but you also want to limit it. You want to be general. So it's kind of hard to find that balance, but when you know what you're looking for, you do not have to tell the government entity, but you want to leave it open to get as much information as you can through your request. Deadlines are 10 days unless you may, and the chapter 552 says promptly, and if it cannot be produced within 10 working days, the public information officer should notify you in writing of a reasonable date and time when it will be available. I've had multiple instances where I've had to follow up email to our school district communication officer and ask for a date and time of when the information would be available. If they determine the request is not subject to a previous determination or a statute that allows information to be withheld without requesting a ruling, by the 10th business day, they must either request a decision through the Attorney General and notify you, the requester, that they've sent the request to the Attorney General for a decision, and all third parties of the request if it involves proprietary information. An example of that would be I submitted a request to our school district for RFPs, which are requests for proposals for building an elementary school. So they sent a request to the Attorney General for a decision letter. They also notified every single construction company that submitted a bid that I was requesting that information. These are templates. The one on the left over here is one that I made I keep it in a folder on my desktop because I like making things simple and easy for me. I've submitted a lot of these to my local school district, so I don't want to have to retype out the letter every time, and I'll be glad to email anybody that wants a copy of this. And I'll also post it in the Texas Parents Rights and Education Belton group in the PDF files section. So anybody that wants a copy of it can download it. The one on the right is the one available on the Texas OAG website. And what I do is I leave everything the same, and I just fill out these 2 bullet points, and then I take and I copy the 2 bullet points, exactly what I'm requesting, and I paste it in the description information in the form on the right. And then I fill out all my information. I type my name and phone number. I keep that filled out. And then I print both of these and I sign it and I date it. And then I scan them into one PDF file. And that's how I submit my request. And then in the subject line, I put PIA for termination letters submitted on blank. And then on my calendar, I put a reminder for 10 working days out from that to remind myself to go follow up with the requests that I submitted. And if I don't hear anything back from them, now our school district will wait till 5 p.m. on that day. So I usually put it at 5 p.m. on the 10th working day. On the right-hand side, I do usually agree to redacted information subject to mandatory exceptions as long as it's clearly labeled. And most of the time, I will agree and say yes to discretionary exceptions, unless it's something that I think that they might try to redact that I could win if I talked to the Attorney General's office or submitted my side of it or my reason why I think I should have the information. And I usually say copies and email because it's just easier. The cost of information. There can be costs associated with information request. Your responsibilities as a requester, you must respond to estimates within 10 days or it will be considered withdrawn. If they estimate the cost of your response to your request to be over $100, they'll require a deposit most of the time. You may ask them to determine whether providing the information primarily benefits the general public which can result in a waiver or reduction of charges. With my school district, I usually don't get that. I had to, for one, they charged me almost $600, and I submitted a complaint to the Attorney General's office to get them to waive it because the information that I was requesting was in the interest of the general public. You want to make a timely payment for mutually agreed upon charges, and they can demand the payment of overdue balances exceeding $100 or obtain a security deposit before processing additional requests from you if you don't pay them. But 9 times out of 10, they're not going to give you the information unless you pay for it in full upfront. Exceptions, there is information that they can withhold that is in Chapter 552 that does not require an Attorney General's decision. Failure to request an Attorney General decision or notify the requester in 10 days will result in a presumption that the information is open unless there's a compelling reason to withhold it. It should be common sense, but our school district doesn't always follow the 10-day rule, and they also get away with doing things that are not in line with the Chapter 552, and it's just hard to prove that sometimes. You can send a letter to the Attorney General arguing for the release of the information, which I've had to do multiple times, and they may review any arguments made by the governmental body. The Attorney General must issue a decision no later than the 45th working day after they've received the request for a decision, either from you or the school district or governmental entity. And the Attorney General may request an additional 10 working day extension. The governmental body may not ask the Attorney General to reconsider a decision. So once the AG's office makes a decision, that's it. Confidential information. This is a screenshot of the Texas OAG's website. There are mandatory and discretionary exemptions that they can withhold the information. Mandatory is required by law for them to withhold, and discretionary is discretionary. They can use their discretion, but you can also try to argue against that. Some of the mandatory exemptions would be dates of birth, driver's license numbers, credit card numbers, anything that you would not want released to the public if you were a government employee, pretty much. Juvenile offender records, if it's regarding a child abuse investigations, a peace officer's home address or family member information. Discretionary exemptions would be attorney-client communications and drafts of policymaking documents or information related to pending litigation or audit working papers, competitive bidding information before the contract is awarded. Okay, there's ways to report a violation of the Public Information Act. If they fail to respond to your request, you can submit a complaint to the Open Records Division on the OAG website, and I'll show you that in just a moment. If they fail to comply with a ruling issued by the AG's office, you can also submit a written complaint to the ORD. If they're overcharging, you may file a complaint for that as well. And again, these hotline numbers are very helpful. They'll walk you through and tell you if you have a legitimate complaint or some of the things that you can do, that available options to help get the information that you're requesting. An open records complaint. This is a screenshot of the OAG's complaint page. This page can be used to submit complaints based on requests submitted to a governmental body, additional information related to a complaint that you've already submitted, or you can withdraw an existing complaint. So if you complain and then your school district responds and gives you the information you requested, you can withdraw your complaint. This page cannot be used to submit evidence related to an AG decision. The e-filing system is used to submit information related to a request for a decision related to open records request. Anyone can submit materials online. So if the governmental body submits a letter to the Attorney General's office requesting a decision, you can upload information you have to this e-filing system. It costs $15 to file online using e-filing, and then any future submissions you submit related to that initial filing would be $5 additional. You do not have to use the e-filing. It's just faster and more convenient, to be honest. You can submit them by mail, carrier, in person, and this page cannot be used to submit complaints about open records request. The Freedom of Information Foundation protects the public's right to know. They were formed in 1978, and they assist individual citizens, journalists, and government officials through educational seminars, conference, and speakers bureau. The FOI hotline is 1-800-580-6651, and it's available to anyone with questions concerning the Public Information and Texas Open Meetings Act. And their website is foift.org. I have called them related to responses I've received, and they have attorneys that are on call that you can speak with they're very helpful. I highly recommend this site to everybody that is needing help with public information or submitting public information request. Some helpful tips. I asked several people that I know and work with and kind of bounce ideas off of when submitting, and they submit Public Information Acts pretty regularly as well. Some of the most helpful tips to pass along whenever I give this training, and this is the summary of what we all came up with. Check the website of the government entity to see if they have directions on how they want their request to be submitted. Always keep a copy of your original request. Mark your calendar for their due date. And don't be intimidated by what they respond with. You do not have to be a lawyer to request information. This is for taxpayers. They have to be held accountable for the public money that they're spending and the jobs that they were either hired by public money or elected by votes to perform. Hold them accountable with complaints when they violate the Public Information Act. Nobody can hold them accountable if you don't complain. It's not being a Karen. It's you're holding them accountable for what they're supposed to be doing by law. And don't try to put everything in a single request. Create separate requests to break it down into more manageable requests. The public information officers, they're just regular people, and a large request can be overwhelming. And this would also reduce the likelihood of you being charged for information if you break it down into smaller requests. Some places do charge or limit the amount of requests you can submit in a year. And are there any questions?
Hey, Amanda, I actually do have a question. I have a friend here at East Texas that has filed a PIR for the not Plano, the El Paso School District. And I forgot exactly what the PIR is for, but basically they have come back and said, basically because she's out of district, how is this information valuable to the public or whatever? Do
Mhm.
you have any suggestions on any codes or whatever that she could use to fight that?
So wait, so she's out of district?
Yeah, she lives here in East Texas with me, but she filed a PIR in the El Paso School District.
Why would she submit in a different school district? Is it just to help somebody or?
Well, she's with TFC, and then she also does a lot of investigative journalism type stuff. And I mean, she sends stuff all over
So
Texas.
they
And
asked her why
well, they're basically, the school district is saying that they don't see how this information is pertinent to the public. Like, they don't really have a right to know it, and so they're fighting on giving the information. And I just didn't know if there was a code that's, that said.
I think there is. I don't think that they can ask why you're asking for the information. They actually can't. Not that I don't think they can. They cannot ask why you're asking for it. If you're stating that it is a benefit to the public to know, then I would advise her to submit a complaint to the AG's office saying that they are asking why she's submitting it to for the public to know. They
Okay,
can't
thank
they
you.
can't ask why you're submitting information.
Right, okay. All right,
That's a good
thank you. Your
question. Thank
presentation
you.
was great.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Well, if there's no other questions, has anybody else submitted anything that they need help with or?
I have a question.
Sure.
So I tried to limit the number of public information request forms because our school board, it's clear they don't really like me too much. Um, so I've been trying to be a little more informal and just send emails. And every email that I get back, I'm trying to get a timeline on book reconsideration. Every email is literally just kind of dancing around my question and telling me nothing. They're also doing the same with for Shack. According to them, we have no bylaws or policies for Shack, and they turned me down. So there's no space on their Shack for me. That I'm not a parent.
But you're in the school district, right?
Yes, and I told them that. I said I'm a community member, a taxpayer of Willis ISD. So do I need to do a public information request form to get this
Um,
information out of them?
I wouldn't limit my request. I would not, um, I wouldn't limit my request and I wouldn't explain why I want the information. I would just submit it as a Public Information Act request. And if they don't respond with the information that you're requesting, submit a complaint. That's the only way we can hold them accountable.
Okay.
May I comment on that as well? So, a girl and I in our school district were doing PIRs. Well, she goes to the director of communication, and he kept saying, "Well, I don't know why you're submitting these PIRs. I mean, I'll just tell you anything that you want to know." Well, he knew he couldn't get by with that on me, but he did that to her. So she went to his office and she told him, "Okay, well, I won't submit any PIRs, but when I want to know something, I expect you to open it up and tell me." Do you think that he's ever responded to her? She sent stuff, she's asked for stuff, and not formally in a PIR, but under this quote and guys that he's just going to be forthcoming with her. Do you think he's ever responded to her? Absolutely not. You cannot be their friends and
Oh, I
you.
know.
Right.
Oh, I know you know that, but I'm just saying, do everything the formal, professional way, because that's the only way to hold them accountable. And I agree
And
with
if
what
they
Amanda
don't like
said.
you, you're doing something right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's so obvious that at the polls, one of the girls that were out campaigning with the candidates, she was like, "Opposition doesn't like you too much." I was like, "Oh no." She goes, "They've told everybody but you hi. They give you looks," and I'm like, "Well, then that's fine. I'm fine with that." So
Yeah, I mean, the only way to hold them accountable is, honestly, if you're not liked, you're probably doing something right. And as long as you're a professional and you submit everything, that's why I like to submit everything in writing. And, when I meet with these school district people, I record every conversation because they do not like to stick to what they say. They say one thing and they do another. And Texas is a one party state. I record everything and I document everything. It's been very helpful. So I would just do it the most legalistic way possible. That way, if you have to complain to the Attorney General about a request, then you have something to back it up because they're going to ask for a copy of your original request. And the other thing is, if you're asking for information that doesn't exist, so if you're asking for an opinion or a question about something that does not exist, they legally don't, they're not required to respond.
Okay, thank you. That helps me out a lot because I know they're not going to respond to me. That's the only time they have is through public information request. Other
Yeah,
than that, they give me a vague answer that's not really an answer.
right. And that's what they're gonna do unless they're required to.
Okay, thank you.
You're
I have a
welcome. Thank
question.
you. Sure.
What do you do with the information after you receive it? Like once you get your responsive documents, what do you do?
Well, it depends on what I'm requesting. So for some, I requested all of my son's teachers' communications between admin, all of her emails, all the messages. And then I filed grievances and I went all the way up to the level 3. And now I need to have time, but I'm going to start submitting the complaints to the TA against their certifications because there's multiple violations with my situation, um, from not following the bullying laws to sharing private information to not providing me with testing assessments. There's several issues that I had 11 grievances through my information.
Okay, so it sounds like generally you've learned a lot and you do a lot of public records requests because of a personal situation, but do you ever request teacher training, equity type trainings, things like that? And if so, do you have like a website or something that you, or parent group that you share that information with?
I do. I've requested copies of surveys. I've requested copies of, and a lot of these requests, just to be fully transparent. Um, you okay?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
a lot of the people in our community, they're afraid of retaliation because it's very real. So they submit tips to me for things that they would like requested, like the dues and fees our school district pays to different organizations on behalf of staff. I've requested that, copies of termination letters. Um, and I do have a parent group. It's Texas Parents' Rights in Education, Belton. And I shared it in the chat. I've also shared my email in the chat. If anybody thinks of any questions after this is over, feel free to reach out to me. You can join the group. You don't have to live in Belton. I'll approve you.
So I actually live in Maryland and I saw your thing come through, and there's a lot of people in my area that are new to writing FOIAs or MPIAs here. So this has been very helpful. So I probably will contact you because I know there will be some people that can learn just based on what you just presented, even though it's from Texas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we really need some parental rights experts in this field that can, or rather, in that are expert. And you sound like you're probably an expert in writing these PIAs in your state. but there just isn't anywhere to go to find those people that are doing the work and being successful. And then what do you do with the information? So I appreciate that you hosted this and that I had the opportunity to listen.
Well, Parents' Rights in Education is a nationwide group.
Right.
There's several nationwide groups. Moms for Liberty. Have you tried to reach out to any of
Oh,
those?
I do. I follow all of them.
Okay.
But it's more to find someone that is an expert in doing this to be able to present to parents in Maryland.
Oh,
So
right.
it was just a thought that there's a lot of people doing this type of thing, but you don't typically hear these types of trainings.
One thing you can do is reach out to your Attorney General's office and see if they provide. Texas has a YouTube channel for the Attorney General's office, and there's a video on there. I'll share the link to it right now
Mm-hmm.
in the chat.
Great, thank you.
But your Attorney General probably does something very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And goes around providing trainings to, I'm trying to find the video real quick, different government entities, and would probably either provide a training for you or host one online for people to join.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I just shared that. The video that I shared in the chat is from the Texas Attorney General website, and that's actually the training video that they give to government entities. And it goes over a lot of good information. I found it real helpful when I first started doing this. I'm not a lawyer and I don't know everything about it, but I've had to take a crash course. I feel like I earned an honorary law degree in some aspects.
So how long have you been writing PIAs for your district?
For this district, we just moved here last year, but I've written public information requests when I lived in Austin for the city to the city. I don't know if you've heard anything about Austin, Texas, but the mayor, it's a fun mess there. But and I learned just by following different people online and
Mm-hmm.
seeing what the responses they were getting were.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have any more questions?
Thanks, Amanda.
You're welcome. Well, thank y'all for joining me today, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your Saturday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.